Welcome to SI Now. I'm Madeline Burke. He's Robin Lundberg. And in studio today is our NBA playoff analyst, John Starks. Because we had two big games last night in the NBA. We'll break them both down with a little segment we call the shot clock. I'll pose a series of questions. You'll each have 24 seconds to answer and to make your case. And then I will decide who is more convincing. You got it?
Got it.
You ready for this? All right. Let's start with game one in Toronto, where the Cavs erased a 14-point deficit to win in overtime. Here's the question. Did Cleveland win the game, or did Toronto lose it? 24 seconds on the clock. Robin, you're up first.
I'll go with what Ty Lue said. They stole the game. I'm not going to say that Toronto lost it, because then you're taking away credit for LeBron's defense on Kyle Lowry down the stretch. How well Kyle Korver played, how well Tristan Thompson played, how well Jeff Green played. The defense of the Cavs, they had control. It was a foul on Ibaka that even got the Raptors in it. The Raptors were crawling in overtime to get back in. I thought the Cavs were the better team overall.
All right, you still got time to spare with that.
I don't need it. I walk off the court. I walk right off the court.
Throw the ball up and count it. All right.
Nick Young.
Robin says the Cavs stole this one. Let's reset the shot clock. John, you're up.
I say that Toronto lost it. You know, they had the game in hand. They didn't make plays down the stretch. What I was noticing in that fourth quarter, especially from Kyle Lowry, is that he wasn't being that alpha dog that you need him to be, that Westbrook mentality, that he had to come off the screens, and he was being very passive, looking to pass the ball. They need for him to score the ball, and that's the mentality that he has to have. I know people talk about Ibaka is the key, but I think Kyle Lowry is the key.
All right, look at right at the buzzer.
I thought it was going to be a violation.
Right at the buzzer. All right, I appreciate both strong cases, and while I can see that the Cavs put it together, I got to give Starks the point on this one. I mean, Toronto led the entire game up until overtime. They should have held on. All right.
I'm going to come back.
All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to question number 2. Do you guys believe the Raptors have a psychological disadvantage against LeBron's teams? We'll start with you on this one. 24 seconds on the clock.
Me personally, I think Toronto had to be mentally tougher. Why I say that is that LeBron seems to have that little edge on top of them, but they're a better team from top to bottom. And I think if they can go in there and understand that they're all the better team and go in there and play the way they're capable of playing, then they will break through. But if they don't do that, then I think LeBron and them going to walk past them.
Got to get that mental toughness. Look at this. We're getting these shots off in ample time here. Got to get that mental toughness. All right, Robin, we'll reset the shot clock. You're up. What do you got?
Of course the Cavs have a psychological advantage. They eliminate them every year. LeBron's pretty much like the Tyrannosaurus Rex, taking the Raptors and throwing them to the side in Jurassic Park. But the Cavs also have a bit of a personnel advantage in the sense where they don't face the same problems the Pacers posed to them. The quick guards the Pacers had gave them ball pressure. They had trouble getting into their offense. They also couldn't stay in front of them. I think they got a lot easier threes off LeBron's penetration.
I can see this. You know what? And to your point that you made in question number 1, John, Kyle Lowry needed to step up in the fourth quarter. A lot of it could be because LeBron was in his head, so I'm going to give the point to Robin on this one. We are tied here. All right, moving on, question number 3. LeBron said his teammates were unbelievable. They stepped up when, quote, I wasn't at my best, he says. The Cavs supporting cast had been rightly criticized in the first round. Did last night change how you feel about whether LeBron has enough help to get out of the East? Robin, let's go. 24 seconds.
It didn't change how I feel. I still think LeBron has to be superhuman to get them out of the East, but I've always felt they could get out of the East, even with the personnel they have. I do believe Indiana presented a specific matchup issue, and then if you look at the teams in front of them, they're already up 1-0 on Toronto. They won in Toronto with LeBron shooting poorly. The Celtics are undermanned. The Philadelphia 76ers are inexperienced. I don't think it would be surprising at all.
All right, barely under the buzzer. We've got 24 seconds for your rebuttal, John.
I think he do have enough support. I think that the guys are a lot better than what they're showing. They're pros. And so everybody's going to step up. If you let this team hang around like Toronto is doing, eventually these guys are going to break through. And right now, LeBron will continue to give them confidence. And I think that if they continue to hang around, then they're probably going to break through.
This is a tough one. I mean, I feel like you guys are almost in agreement on this.
Kevin Love might need to show up at some point.
Kevin Love needs to show up. Dude got 7 points last night. We need to see more from him. I'm thinking, Robin, point goes to you on this one. All right, moving on to the Western Conference. With Steph's return, are the Warriors a lock to win the title? Starks, 24 seconds.
I wouldn't say they're a lock, but obviously having him back truly helped their odds. You know, having him come off the bench, a guy that probably outscored their bench, Pelican bench by himself. And so having him back is really going to give them an opportunity to face a Houston team that's hungry to get past them. I would put them in the favorite. Until somebody defeat them, they are the favorite.
All right. They're the favorite so far. Robin, let's reset the shot clock. What do you got?
Look, I started the season saying no one had a chance to beat Golden State. I've spent a few months trying to rationalize my way out of that opinion. Curry's right back. They're plus 34 in his minutes. They have Curry. They have Durant. They have Klay Thompson. They have Draymond Green. They have Andre Iguodala. They got the infinity gems. Of course, the Golden State Warriors are a lock to win the championship. You really want me to put my faith in D'Antoni, Chris Paul, and James Harden?
I would like to say, I think this is a very strong case that you made here. I think it is a very strong case that you made here, and I would like to say that I agree with it, but I'm not quite sold yet. So point starts on this one.
Thank you.
We are 2-2. This one
You
for
stole
all
that
the
one
marbles.
from me like the Cavs did from the Raptors.
I know. Last second pull away. All right, last one for all the marbles in my mouth.
Double entendre.
Based on the action so far in round 2, which series are you most excited to see play out? Clock ready. Robin, you're up.
I'm going with Boston and Philadelphia because it's the one I don't see the outcome as clearly. I think the Cavs are going to beat the Raptors. I think the Warriors are going to beat the Pelicans. That was New Orleans' best shot. I think the Rockets are going to move on as well. I expect Philadelphia to win, but because they lost game 1, because they haven't been there before, and because the Celtics have Brad Stevens and that young talent, I think that's the one that's most intriguing as far as the outcome goes.
Brad Stevens, the coach. Robin says he would take over at least 20 players in the NBA if he was starting a team. I could see that. That is a strong point. Starks, 24 seconds.
I like Robin's pick, but I'm going to have to go with Toronto and Cleveland. I think it's interesting to see how Toronto is going to bounce back after this game and see if they're going to, like I said before, develop mental toughness, understand that they have to break through. We had a guy like that in Michael Jordan that we had to break through, so I understand what they're going through, but they're a better team, so I'm looking for them to bounce back and have a better series.
I think these are both going to be very exciting series. These are both really strong points, but I got to side with the guest of honor here. I mean, the game last night especially. I mean, you see the king and the best player in the game getting that close to getting edged out. You can't help but grab the popcorn like that Steph Curry meme, that Steph Curry gif, and be like, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? I can't wait to watch and see if it's going to happen.
I'm not shaking hands.
Come on, we're out.
Hey guys, Martellus Bennett here. I am the creator and the creative director of Awesomeness at the Imagination Agency. What you're tuning into right now, I'm drawing logos for teams I played for in the past. All right, y'all ready? New York Giants. It's a colorful place, colorful people. Their logo should represent the people that run around this place and the people that play for this team. I thought a colorful logo would be the best. I don't think you learn how to draw. Everyone can draw, you just do it. Like, creativity is, you could get better at it, and there's no wrong way to express yourself. Unless you're murdering people. It's a bad way to do it. I drew this guy. He is the mascot of the Cowboys. It's just a cowboy wearing a cowboy hat with a sheriff star on it. So I think they should change their logo to like a sheriff on a horse. A big, beautiful black horse. Bears. What the hell does a bear look like? Okay, it's my bear. I love the Chicago Bears. I put up some of the best statistical numbers, and it was a great city to play in, but the Bear fan is sad. So, you ready for this one? This is the easiest one of all day. Bam! We are the W's because all we do is win. We got the new logo right here. It's a giant W on the side of the helmet because you already know what's going down. We're going to win. Thanks for letting me be the Black Bob Ross' cousin, Jerome Ross, for a day. Kids, if you're out there, draw, create. You are the creators of our tomorrows, and we're looking forward to the way that you paint the world with your beautiful colors.
On Monday, Patriots quarterback Tom Brady officially committed to play in 2018. The Pats are still without an heir apparent at quarterback, however, but it seems like they almost got one on draft day. According to the MMQB, Baker Mayfield's agent Jack Mills said, quote, "We knew that the Jets at 3 was the bottom line. We had another team that said you may get a surprise on draft day at number 2 if he is available, and that team was the Patriots." Robin, we've talked a lot about potential signs of a rift between Brady and the Pats. Does New England's trade willingness to trade up for Mayfield add to that a little bit.
Well, look, there's the reality of Brady's age, right? Eventually, you have to bring in a successor, regardless of if there is some problems behind the scenes.
And a year with a quarterback draft class like this is a good opportunity to get one.
Sure, but I don't think we are now in the realm of speculation anymore. If there is a rift between Brady, Belichick, and the Patriots organization, I think that is clearly a thing right now. So this just adds to it. I'm not going to say this is proof of it because we already have the proof of it. And regardless of that, they needed somebody, but I do think it adds to it.
Rift or no rift, I think this has absolutely nothing to do with that because this is football. You've got a 41-year-old quarterback, and yes, he's healthy. Yes, he eats avocado ice cream, and he takes ridiculous care of himself. But he's 41 years old. He's been playing this game, a dangerous game that we've seen guys get hurt and get these freak injuries out of nowhere. You need to have somebody prepared to take the reins if Tom Brady can't play a game, a season, or any longer. And that would be a smart move to trade up to get somebody of that caliber that you can not only foster to be the guy this season to stand behind Brady, but in the future.
It says something about the way they evaluated Mayfield. Meanwhile, in Pittsburgh, Ben Roethlisberger had some interesting words in response to the Steelers drafting Mason Rudolph with their third-round pick, telling the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, if he's going to be their guy, that's great, but in my perfect world, it's not going to be for a while. Ben went on to say that he plans to play for another 3 to 5 years, which would keep him at the helm of Pittsburgh's offense at 40 years old. After appearing to flirt with retirement in recent off seasons, is this surprising to hear from Ben?
A little bit. I mean, it kind of plays into that you don't know what you got till it's gone. I mean, it seems like every single year for the past few years, Ben's been like, I don't know, I might come back, I might retire, we'll see. I'm going to spend some time thinking about this, I'm going to evaluate it, yada, yada, yada. Now that the Steelers go and they get a quarterback that's got a really solid skill set in this draft, Ben's like, wow, this is becoming a reality. Me saying that my time to hang him up might be close is becoming very real. And you know what? Maybe I'm not ready for that. Maybe the fact that I thought I was ready for that, and now that it's actually conceptualized right in front of me in the form of Mason Rudolph, I don't know if I'm ready to hand over the keys just yet.
Skirt! Like,
right?
This is a quick left turn from Ben Roethlisberger, as we have seen him say, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be back. It shows you these competitive guys want to have a chip on their shoulder. And then they also don't want their legacy threatened in a sense, where somebody could actually come and take the job. We saw that with Garoppolo and Brady, and maybe we're seeing that just at the hint of somebody being there with Roethlisberger. The team that bested Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship game is also in the news. Jacksonville Jaguars owner Shad Khan put in a bid to buy Wembley Stadium in London and suggested that the venue should host a Super Bowl someday. Madeline, good idea?
Super Bowl, yes, I think that would be a great idea. But one thing you got to notice here, too, Shad Khan being the guy who's bidding to buy this, the Jaguars are one of the teams that almost perennially plays in London. And this kind of fuels those rumors, too, that Jacksonville could move that team to be the first international team in the NFL. However, that aside, a Super Bowl in London, I think, would be a fantastic idea. I mean, the Super Bowl is already at a neutral territory. The fans are already imported, essentially, from both teams to come watch their teams play. And to have it, whether it's in, LA or New York or London, to have it in a city of that size, that stature, that magnitude, and at a venue of this size and this glory, I think would be an absolutely wonderful thing.
I'm with you. This is better than a regular season game, right?
Yeah.
The Jaguars and the Bills over in London.
Fans aren't going to travel for a regular season game to London, but fans will travel if the Jags are in the Super Bowl, or if any team is in the Super Bowl
Plus,
to London.
even if it ain't your thing and you're over there, the excitement level could be ratcheted up by something like this. So I do think it's a good idea.
All right, well, just 15 minutes after the Pacers lost in Game 7 to the Cavs, Victor Oladipo texted his trainer to ask when they'd start practicing again. The text, of course, went viral. Dirk Nowitzki was inspired. He texted his trainer as well. Got a little roasted in the process. Dirk, of course, 39 years old, just finished his 20th season in the NBA. Is he hurting the Mavs by sticking around and wanting to play?
I don't think so, because he's not in the situation where he's on that massive contract. Kobe Bryant, you could argue, hurt the Lakers toward the end of his career because his contract was so bloated. Now, he earned it, they paid it to him, but it prevented them from moving past him. Dirk Nowitzki is on a team that's already bad. He's not holding them down from getting somewhere else, and he's not holding their salary cap down either.
Right, and you know what? Yes, Dirk Nowitzki is not peak Dirk, but he's not, like Juwan Howard either, where, at the back end of his career, you're like, I see him on the bench. Is he a player? Is he a coach? I'm not sure just yet. All right, the struggles continue for Matt Harvey onto the Major League Baseball. The Mets pitcher was reportedly spotted partying last week in Los Angeles. the night before he had a poor relief outing against the Padres. The New York Post has conflicting sources, one saying he was stumbling around at the event, the other saying the right-hander appeared to be sober. But regardless, the next day Harvey came out of the bullpen to pitch the ninth. He gave up a homer to Frank Cordero and also walked a batter. Now, Harvey struggled this season, prompting his reassignment from the rotation to the bullpen. He's 0-2 with a 5.76 ERA. Asked by a reporter on Tuesday whether he was upset about the report, Mets GM Sandy Alderson said, quote, "Usually I get upset if a report is unexpected, so I guess the short answer is no." Slight shade throwing there, but manager Mickey Callaway also said he spoke to Harvey, didn't think the incident was a big deal. Long story long. Are you worried about this?
Why would I be worried about it? I mean, Matt Harvey can't really pitch effectively anymore, whether he's partying or not. My favorite part of this is the Alderson quote. You said
so
slight shade.
wonderful.
That's shade from the biggest tree I can imagine.
That's a shade fastball right down the
We're
middle.
not surprised that this guy's out partying. You know, that's what he did before. It was an issue when he was good, right?
Right.
Is that the kind of thing, his attitude, his nightlife, that's going to bring Matt Harvey down? He's already down. How much further down can he go? He went from out of the starting rotation to in the bullpen, and the player he was supposed to be, you know, the guy who was supposed to be the face of the Mets, we're never going to see that player again. I think we're all sure of it.
You mentioned when he was good. We've seen what it's like when he was good. Is this partying playing into the fact that he's not good? Is he too distracted, or is this just par for the course?
I mean, I'm sure it doesn't help, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't help to be tired, to be hungover, or anything that might come from that, distracted, what have you. But we've seen plenty of guys go out and still perform. Matt Harvey's not performing, so it just makes everything around that look a little bit
J.R.
worse.
Smith right there sets the bar.
Yeah, until he went to Cleveland.
Yeah.
From The Dark Knight to The Karate Kid, I had the chance to sit with Ralph Macchio, where we talked about the comeback of Daniel-san and which coach in sports today is most like Mr. Miyagi. Check this out. I'm here with the Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio. They got the new Cobra Kai series launching on YouTube Red May 2nd. Picks up 30 years after the original film.
Wait, is this the karate guy? The guy from the tournament?
Oh, this is the guy whose ass you kicked.
Listen, it was a really close match, but if you want to get technical, I kicked his face.
I know you're throwing out a pitch at the Mets game, right?
Yes,
the last
I am.
time they won, the Karate Kid was fresh out of the theaters.
That's right. Oh, my God. Yes, right. No, that was 1986, the last time they won the World Series. Yeah, I was at all those games in '86. Yeah, let's hope the Cobra Kai brings the winning spirit back to the New York Mets. Good start this year. Good start.
Back in 1984, Karate Kid probably did have a massive influence on people picking up martial arts. Since then, we've seen MMA explode.
Right.
Does that have any influence on the series, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or any of that stuff?
I think we touch on in this first season the differences, and certainly the differences between the Cobra Kai aggressive karate and the Miyagi-Do, the sort of more spiritual side of martial arts. I think is a nice marriage or blend between the nostalgia, the classic, the legacy of what the martial arts was in the 1984 Karate Kid film, and yet bringing a fresh, relevant, more action-oriented version now. But it's exciting for the now generation, but still calls back to the classic martial arts that was done in our film.
You won't be flying and putting an Iron Man suit on in the air or anything like that.
Crouching Tiger, hidden LaRusso.
Now, nostalgia is super powerful, right? Why now? Why did you decide to make the play now? Because I'm sure so many times between then and now, you've had people make the references to you.
Yes, I always say I said no for 30 years, but for a reason. It was the timing wasn't right, and no one had a real smart angle into the universe again. You know, it's the legacy of that film has become such a piece of pop culture, such an inspiration for generations that I'm very protective of the Daniel LaRusso character and the original film as well. What happened here is our three writers, John Hurwitz, Hayden Schlossberg, Josh Heald, they wrote the Harold and Kumar franchise and the Hot Tub Time Machine franchise, so they knew how to write for the now generation in an entertaining way. And they are like the biggest fanboys of the original Karate Kid. To them, it's Star Wars. They know every frame, and they wanted to honor the legacy of that film. They had a great angle in from the Johnny Lawrence side of it all. sort of understanding what happened to that guy once he was kicked in the face by the crane back in 1984, and where his life has gone down the gutter, and where LaRusso's life has gone in the opposite direction, and what would happen if these guys crossed paths years later. That and the fact that now you have these streaming services like YouTube Red, where we are telling a 5-hour movie and cutting it up into 10 half-hour parts. All that stuff sort of coming together, it just seems like the timing is right, and we feel we've hit at the right time.
Now, speaking of Daniel and Johnny, what would you say is the equivalent in sports right now? What's that rivalry?
You can't say. I initially go Red Sox Yankees just because it's just such a great rivalry. I don't know who the Cobra Kai of that is. As a Yankee fan, it's
Depends
certainly
on
the
where
Red
you're at.
Sox.
We're in New York right now,
because
right?
there is really general hatred in my world. I was a big Islander fan, still am. So Islanders, Rangers. Rangers are totally Cobra Kai in my house. You know, Cobra Kai it could be a hit series, and that's what we're counting on. So maybe that's not a bad thing.
You know, obviously Mr. Miyagi, not part of the Cobra Kai, but who would you say is the Miyagi of sports, the guy keeping everything balanced and stewarding his team that way?
I guess, is Miyagi Belichick and Brady? I don't know, but I'm a Jet fan, so I can't say that.
Yeah.
All my fans are going to start throwing stuff. They know I'm a Jet.
There's a lot of people who don't want to hear Belichick and Miyagi in the same sentence.
No, not sure. He is more like John Kreese. He is more like Darth Vader. Miyagi is just the human Yoda. Really, he's like the human Yoda. So who is that in sports? Who is that great coach that pleases everybody, is smart, tough on his players?
Like Greg Popovich, except for not with the
could
media.
be, yes, and the height difference between him and Miyagi is enough.
Yeah.
We got about 3 feet difference.
What was your favorite thing about revisiting the character?
Favorite thing about revisiting the character was sort of reconnecting with his sort of feisty cockiness. I mean, there's a lot of Ralph and Daniel LaRusso. He's that East Coast guy that I think has his heart in the right place, that I believe is part of who I am and the naturalness that I brought to the character back in '84. I've enjoyed the knee-jerkness of the character, of him, thinking now and figuring it out later, where I am far more analytical. If it was me, if I got beat up once, the movie'd probably be over. I'd probably not go back to that well. But he just kept wanting to stick up for himself, and I loved that still exists in his adulthood.
Mr. Miyagi did preach quick decisions.
Yes.
So let's follow that pattern here.
Right.
What did he say? If you go left, you're safe. If you go right, you're safe. You're in the middle.
Squish left. Make it the only bad choice is no choice.
So I'm going to give you some choices. I want you to make quick split decisions.
Okay.
Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
Michael Jordan.
MMA or boxing?
Boxing.
Marvel or Star Wars?
Wow. Star Wars. I'm going old school.
Regulation win or sudden death win?
In hockey, sudden death win.
Getting kicked or getting punched?
Getting punched.
Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan?
Bruce Lee.
NASCAR or vintage cars?
Vintage cars.
Amateur wrestling or pro wrestling?
Amateur wrestling.
Jay-Z or Kanye?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Can I say Bruce Springsteen? How about that?
We're going all the way back. We're born in the USA,
Right.
Cobra Kai, Ralph Macchio, streaming May 2nd, YouTube Red. Make sure you check it out. You won't ban me. At least that was the sentiment of a Turkish soccer fan who used a crane to watch his team play despite his banishment. Do you respect the commitment?
I am here for this level of petty. I think this is the ultimate level of petty. Oh, I can't be in the stadium? I'm going to be right outside on my crane cheering my team on. This is the kind of fan I want rooting for my team. And this is the kind of fan I hope is watching us on SI Now. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Stay tuned, follow along on social media for all the latest, and check in on SI.com for more.